They didn't play by the rules and still made it to the top. This is where the real stories live, raw, bold, and unapologetic. These are real women, real stories, unfiltered success. Welcome to Next to None. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Next to None podcast. I have a dynamic guest for you today. It's Andrea Early of Early Edge Insurance, with nearly 20 years experience in the insurance industry and deep roots right here in St. Louis area. Andrea opened Early Edge Insurance on March 1st of 2025 with a mission to do insurance differently, focused on relationships, referrals, and real community impact. She is proud to live and work in O'Fallon, Missouri, where she loves seeing local businesses and families thrive. She's no stranger to the insurance and agents industry or this community, and I believe, and she believes that the right protection creates the confidence to grow, collaborate, and seize opportunity. Welcome, Andrea. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me, Amy. It's so great to be here with you today.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, because I know a little bit about your journey of like March 1st, 2025, right? So when you started.
Yeah.
So like, tell us what happened in that year time span, business wise. Like what happened?
Oh my gosh. We have just really come into the community from day one until now. We just celebrated a couple weeks ago, a little over a year, and we've made such a huge impact. We've been able to give back to O'Fallon. We've partnered with some local nonprofits, Lucky Chance Rescue, and we've been able to give back to our community while making sure that everyone has proper protection, and we're saving them money, which is always the icing on the cake.
That is awesome. I know, and I don't remember all the details. So this is why I'm going to ask this question. Like you started, so like a lot of times insurance agencies start and they start with, they bought a book and you might have to explain some of that to individuals, but
Yeah.
tell everybody how you started and what you started with.
Yeah. So industry term is scratch. So a scratch agency is literally zero customers. I came in on March 1st, which was a Saturday, into my office, and I wrote my home and auto and umbrella insurance for myself. And I was my first client, which is wild because you really have to jump out there and invest in yourself and have the capital to have the storefront, get the equipment in, get all the tools that you need, hire before you even open your doors. So it was such a it was the biggest risk I've ever taken. But I always say, if you're going to risk anything, risk it on yourself. So that's what I did. And we just kept growing from there and was able to hire some amazing local agents and some that are remote so that we can have the best team possible.
That's really scary to start a business like yours with that, like, because most insurance agents don't do that, do they?
No, typically they'll purchase a book if there's an agent that is leaving the industry, or if someone just retires. With Allstate, the brand that we represent, we own our business. We're very few companies that actually are like that. So we can't just walk away from it. We're creating a legacy. So a lot of agents will go in and buy. And one thing that I told myself that I didn't want was a lot of debt opening a new business. So I'm very proud that within the first 60 days, we were 100% debt free. So everything that we had invested initially, we had earned back. And now we operate 100% debt free in our agency.
That's so amazing. Congratulations on that. Seriously, because a lot of
Thank
times it
you.
takes businesses 3 years to make a profit.
Yes. Now, profitability wise, personally, I invest everything back into my business. So I often joke, I'm like, don't think you're going to open a business and then it's all just going to, fall into place. You really have to continue to invest in yourself. So, when I say debt free, that's a huge accomplishment as an insurance agent, but it's also because I'm investing everything back into my business. It's important to do that.
Why do you think you were able to build your agency so quickly? I mean, a year is that is like unheard of in a lot of ways. and I don't, I'm not in the insurance industry. So, but
Right.
I know a business being able to produce what you have in a year is really, really limited. There's very few people that can do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of agencies that don't make it. Within the first couple of years, there's only less than 10% that keep their doors open. So I understood the business because I was in it for so long and I had some great mentors along the way. But I really understood the importance of making sure that we were serving our community. And that is the foundation of what we do is help others. So when you lead with authenticity, that word is so hard to say, by the way. When you're authentic and you feel called to doing something, there's just really nothing that's gonna stop you if you live into that.
Yeah, that's so true. One of my core values for my business is to serve others. When I sit down with someone and have any conversation, whether they're a client, a potential client, just a networking partner, how can I help you? What can I do to help you? And I think that that is probably one of the biggest things that help businesses stand apart is when they're serving people versus just selling to people.
100%. And people think that sales has to be kind of a hard sell, or there's so many things you can read about or go out online and look at. And I think people get away from who they really are. And if you're just authentic and you go and you lead with what is it that I can help you solve? What
Mhm.
problem do you have that I can help you solve? Even if it's not connected to the insurance business, but if there's something that someone is needing assistance with and I've experienced it, I just think it's important, especially as women, that we reach our hands out and we help those around us.
100%. I will tell you, one of the things that I struggled with in the probably the first year and a half of my business is the sales side. I hated the sales side. I just was like, oh, this is so gross to me. But you know what I did? I took one of the skills that I learned in my previous career, and it was about connecting with people. I made it about connecting with people versus like the salesy pitch stuff. That is a huge turnoff for me. Like if someone tries to sell me, I'm immediately like, hey, listen, I'm not someone that can be hard sold. It actually is a big turnoff. I'm just giving you that information up front so that if you go there, I'm going to cut you off and we're done.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. And it's just sales, all it really is, if you boil it down to the very basic, it's just two people having a conversation, like we're doing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. And there's going to be so many people out there that's going to tell you that it is, and that you have to do all these things, and you have to show up to everything, and you have to do all, wake up at 4 a.m., all these crazy things. And I'm just like, no, it's all lies for them to make money.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
that's
just a
true.
conversation for two people.
Yeah. I go off of there's let me just gonna say them out loud because I can't remember how many there are. People are basic. They want three things. They want to be needed, they want to be known, and they want to be cared for.
Hmm.
And that is what I live in when I do the sales thing. And the needed piece is more or less like, I don't go into like, what do you need today? You know what I mean? It's a conversation. You ask questions. A lot of salespeople are not asking questions. They're talking at people. And I just can't do that. I don't think that that produces anything long term. And you might pressure someone into making a sale, but like, what if you could build a relationship with them that could be a long lasting relationship to where they're continually purchasing things from you in a way, not purchasing, but you know what I mean? They're your
Yeah,
client long term.
right. Yeah, and I think a lot about that too. And when you create relationships with people and you have good conversations, they're almost like little ambassadors for your business. There's so many
Yeah.
people out there when they have a good experience and when you've built that relationship that really talk about it. And there's nothing better as a business owner than free marketing. There really isn't.
You're
So,
right. The
it's not
best
even about what they can purchase, but just the fact that you've provided something different for them to experience.
And most likely, the best referrals that businesses get are the ones where there's been a prior client that has shared their experience with your business. And I'm not talking about just you and I, just in general, women,
Hmm.
that has shared an experience with your business and how it helped them. And I mean, that's how I got one of my biggest clients, is because one of my clients was talking to someone else that knew me, and someone else overheard them talking and asked them for my information. And it was just like, I mean, like, I was just so very grateful and thankful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it feels good, especially and I'm sure you can relate to this. It's not even about the fact that you landed the deal. It's that people think highly enough of you that they're talking about you. That's what excites me. Like when I get
Yes.
on social media and I see people saying, "Oh, we experienced this or this happened or that." I'm just like, "Wow, I get to do this. Like this is what I do for a living. This is
Right.
awesome." It's exciting.
It is exciting. And, I'm also a huge promoter of other businesses. And it could be someone that has the same business that I do. And I will promote as much as I can to help them, because I just have the belief that, like, my clients are my clients, your clients are your clients. And, I'm going to get what I'm supposed to get, and you're going to get what you're supposed to get. And it's not a competition. It's not a, weird thing. It just be you and do business.
That's right. Yeah, it's all about collaborating. And I love that you mentioned that because there's often a huge stigma in my industry. First of all, it's a male-driven industry, owning an insurance agency. There's like less than 20% of women that own an agency. And one thing that I love and I've really spearheaded is uniting with other female insurance business owners. They are not my competition. Like I have learned so much from the women that are 10 steps ahead of me. And I am really excited that I get to also talk with women who are just starting out in the industry that don't have the experience before opening their business. And I'm constantly learning from them just as much as they're learning from me. And everybody can eat. Like, when you start to
Yeah,
close your doors to meeting other people, I really feel like that hurts you personally and professionally.
absolutely. I, um, I when I first started my business, I did a lot of networking. And it was very uncomfortable for me, because coming out of the career that I was in, it was all about serving other people. I stayed out of the spotlight, you know what I mean? That type of thing. And
Hmm.
moving into owning a business, and now here I am, I've got to go out and meet people, and I do all these things, which I didn't mind. I'm extroverted, but it just was a really weird transition. But I ran into so many individuals that was like, I went to visit this one networking group, and I signed up, ahead of time or whatever. And this gentleman that I knew was in this group, and he called me and said, "Hey, you can't come because we do the same thing." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, I wasn't offended, but I was just like, I'm not going to be like that. And so I was
Right.
in a different group of that organization. And when people would, email or call or whatever, I'm like, yeah, you can come. Like, just, well, we do the same thing. And I'm like, that's okay. There's enough for everybody. Like, it's okay. And
Right.
yeah, I just don't like that.
No. No, it's says a lot about them, I think, and how uncomfortable they are with themselves. Really gatekeeping anything like that, especially like processes, procedures, even going into the inner workings of a business. I could give you a blueprint and you're going to print it, you're going to live it out very differently than I will,
Yeah.
even if it's the same blueprint.
Yep.
So
100%.
there's somebody for everybody, but it's crazy. I that was kind of the hardest thing too. I had worked remote for 15
Mhm.
years
Oh,
out of my
wow.
house before I opened my business, building other people's businesses essentially. And so networking at 42, I was like, this is harder than getting back in the gym. Like I'm like, how do I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just showing up and I'm all about keeping it simple. So once I realized all I have to do is show up and it'll take care of itself, it was great. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is intimidating at first.
Yeah. It really is, because I don't know about you, but when I started networking, I'm like, why are people going to want to work with me? Like, I don't, you have that initial, like, okay, what is it that, like, I don't know, I don't get it.
Yeah. I'm like, what do I say? Like,
Yeah.
here's who I am, here's what I do, and then what? Just smile and sit down? Like, I don't know. It was very
That whole
awkward,
30
but
that whole 30-second pitch thing, you're just like, ugh.
yeah, yeah. It takes a while. And I'm not like a practicer. So, some people are so good at getting a script and sitting down and they rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I gotta be on the fly. Like,
Yeah.
if I rehearse, it's gonna sound rehearsed and then it doesn't feel authentic. And then I feel like nobody benefits from that at all.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you at all. It actually is really hard for me to like I usually don't have a script. So like when I do webinars and stuff, I don't usually have a script. I have slides that I or even when I speak somewhere, like I have slides, but I'm more of off the cuff kind of thing, kind of like this podcast. It's very conversational. I don't give pre questions to everybody. We just are having a conversation because I feel like more authenticity is produced out of that versus having a very structured not everything shouldn't not everything should have structure, but not everything shouldn't have structure. That
Right.
makes
It's a
sense.
balance.
It's a balance. So,
Yeah.
what is one of the things that you have loved about owning your own business?
I love the freedom to make decisions, to be present on my own time.
Hmm. Yeah, I
And
can't
I
argue with you.
I mean, I know so many people are out there selling this like lifestyle of owning a business. And there's something out there that I read the other day and I was laughing because it's like I left my 9 to 5 to work 140 hours a week. And it's true. And sometimes I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I need to take care of this. Or if I don't do this now, I'm going to forget. Or, there's different seasons in a business as an entrepreneur. But it is not 9 to 5. So the moments that I can make a quick decision, a friend is in need and needs a ride to a doctor's
Mhm.
appointment or whatever it may be, I get to say, pause, I'm going to take care of this. And that in the freedom is what is amazing and what I love about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, when I first started my business, I started my business because I wanted to be more present with my family. The previous career that I had, I worked 6 days a week, and two of those days were Saturday and Sunday. I had Mondays off. I didn't have days with my husband. There was just a lot of things like that. And I was like, I'm not gonna have a real strict schedule. Well, then I ended up having a really strict schedule. And one day I'm working like 9 to 5. Well, it's not, my husband's like, are you done? I'm like, no, I gotta wait at 5 o'clock. And he goes, babe, you work for yourself. You don't have to work 9 to 5. And I was like, oh yeah. Just, it took me probably a good 6 months to realize that.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. We're conditioned, from a very young age that success looks the same and that
Yeah.
you're going to go to college and you're going to do well and you have to get good grades and then you're going to get a degree and then you're going to work for this company and then, count the ceilings, the tiles in your ceiling. The more tile ceilings you have, the more successful you are. And I'm like, who has been selling this lie that we have all subscribed to? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, that was a revelation for me in my business, even because like now I may not, Fridays are a blocked out day for me. They're my CEO day. You know what I mean? Like I get all those things
Hmm.
done on Fridays, but there's a lot of things that I do on Sunday night. Like I'll write my blog, write my social media, I'll do all that stuff for the week so that I'm not worrying about that stuff through the week. But there might be a day where I'm only working till noon or whatever that is.
Yeah,
Do
right.
you find
And then
yourself
you get
doing
a
the same
chance to
thing?
connect. I do, yes. On occasion, there's been times where, you can burn out very quickly owning a business. And so you have to protect your peace in a sense. So yeah, it was actually just a couple of weeks ago. It was a Friday and I told myself I'm going to have a CEO day. And then of course, one thing turns into another and then you're doing this and then you're doing that and then you're immersed in it. So you're like, okay. And I looked up from my computer and I saw my husband and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing. We're going to lunch. And I shut the computer and we went to lunch and we had
Good.
the best afternoon together, just the two of us. And that filled me up, which got me ready for the next week. And sometimes it's just taking the initiative to say, okay, I'm done and step away.
There's so many people that I talk to that um they don't take that day to prepare for the next week. And then the next week comes and people are just scrambling and they haven't planned. Like I'm a planner to an extent, like I'm a creative too. So it's like I plan, but I have room for moving things around.
Yeah, fun.
Right. But like there's something to be said about what you just talked about is like, Monday through Friday, it's more structured. I know what I'm doing and this is what I'm doing. And then that Friday comes and like, yes, it's the CEO day, but also there's just times where we just as women, because we're doing all the things at home, we're doing all the things in the business, we're driving things, we've taken care of employees, all the different things. And
Hmm.
it just can be overwhelming at times. So what is your key to balancing all of the, I mean, you're never going to balance it completely. I get that, but like what's probably a key for you that you really helps you stay balanced in all of the like the home stuff that you do as a wife and and all those things. I don't know if you have kids. I don't know if we ever talked about that.
Yeah, no, no kid. I have dogs, which are they're my kids.
They are. I have two dogs.
Um,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, I have two German Shepherds and they're amazing and they fill my life with joy because their personalities are the best.
Fun.
Um, yes, but they're really, I think balance is another lie, in entrepreneurship, at least. I think it's very important to balance your life as an employee or someone that's working in a business, but when you decide to take on ownership, you're kind of throwing a lot of that out the window. And it's just for a season. It's not forever, but it's something that you have to understand. You've got to take ownership of that. For me, trying to find balance or knowing when I need it, it's when I start to lose gas. Like
Mm,
it's harder for me to get up when my alarm goes off. It's harder for me to fall asleep at night. And I'm like, I'm losing gas. I need to take a beat and refill myself. And maybe that's lunch with a girlfriend or lunch with my husband or
yeah.
just a day to be creative and be outside and go for a walk and have no agenda. Or this is for those of you that know me, you're going to know. I can't believe she hasn't said this yet. I love Legos. Like
Oh, really?
on a Sunday morning, you can find me creating and building
That's
floral
awesome.
Legos. Yeah. And I never played with Legos as a kid. So it's so funny, but it's like the one thing I can do that I get to be creative in. And I don't need to consult anyone else or have a conversation. And I don't think. I just am like in the moment and you get to keep it. So it's beautiful when it's done. So I have in my office and at home, I have Legos all over. And that's a big piece of how I unwind to stay balanced, in what I do.
What's been your favorite piece that you've created so far?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one. I would have to say, oh man, that is really tough. I love them all. I just did a hummingbird on a flower
What?
and I loved that one.
That's so
So
cool.
I know. But I literally, I'm looking around my office. I have so many roses, flowers, like it's crazy. And everyone makes fun of me for it, but I'm like, laugh it off. I love it. And they're cute and they're great decorations.
I don't think it's funny. I think it's interesting. Everybody has kind of like, I was having this conversation with a friend and we were talking about creativity and um a lot of people think creativity looks like a very specific way, right? Like if
Hmm.
you're an artist, you're creative. If you're a musician, you're creative, but I think everybody has creativity in them and it just looks different. And the things that we create, whether it's for business at home, all the things like I'm definitely a creative person. But I was told most of my career that I wasn't, which is really
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I in my previous career, I created a lot of process and structure and things, and it was all for people, which I'm a huge proponent of. Systems are for people; they aren't for boxing in people; they're for helping people. But
Yes,
anyway,
I agree with
but
that.
I think all people are creative. Every single person has a creativity in them. It just
Right.
looks different.
Well, and when you're in that space all day, in your left brain and you're putting things together and you're problem solving, and really that's what entrepreneurship is just solving one problem after another. Um, you have to get out of that energy. And I feel like to get out of that left brain energy, you need to use your creative, whether you like to sing or build or
Yeah.
paint or go for a walk in nature, whatever it is. I just think it's so important to disconnect that left brain in order to recharge too.
Yeah, I would say that most women struggle with that. With all the demands that they have on them. What if they're a business owner, or even if they work somewhere corporately, right? They have those
Hmm.
responsibilities, and they come home and they have other responsibilities. Like I'm really blessed. My husband loves he enjoys cooking, and so we tag team dinner. So I'm not wholly responsible for making dinner, and he's not, so we do it together, and you know what I mean? And sometimes he just does it by himself. He loves to barbecue and all the things, and I
Oh
love that
yeah.
he love to do that. But
Amen.
it's it's just interesting that and by the way, like a lot of people will say, "Oh, so you're making your husband do this." No, my husband enjoys it. Like it's something that he loves. There's things that I love to do at the house, and there's things that he loves to do at the house, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just
Mm-mm.
saying, ladies, it's
Right.
not bad.
Marry up. Marry up. I say that's the most important decision you'll ever make is who you marry.
Yes.
You need to be careful with that, because that'll make or break you. It really
Mhm.
will, spending that much time with someone. So yeah.
That is so true. I know Ashley Harmon makes funny all the time. She's like, "You're always like my man, my man, my man," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I love my husband."
Yes, yeah. I mean,
So,
I'm a very strong independent woman. I own the business. It's mine. It's only in my name.
hmm
But I tell you what, when I get home and my slippers and robe are on, that man is the man. He is the
yeah,
man in my house. He loves me. He holds me. He cooks dinner for me. Like, we're kind of similar and we'll share in the responsibilities, but I just I let it all go at the door.
yeah. It's a fascinating being a woman that owns a business is pretty fascinating at times, I believe. What do you feel like is the thing that makes a woman successful in a business, like a business that she owns?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. That's good, Amy. There's probably a lot of different ways I could go down that, but for me personally, it's surrounding myself with a community of like-minded women and making sure that I stay plugged in and I'm showing up and that we get the opportunity to fill each other's cup. Um, you know, and always learning is another big one. I think that people think when you own a business, you've arrived and you haven't. If you're not willing to continue to reach out and to learn and grow and be around a community of people who are in that season of life as well,
hmm
it's really what helps make you successful.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to just be an all women community. I think for me, it was important because I'm in a male driven industry. I needed more of that feminine energy, but it may not be the case for everybody, right? But just community in general and staying in some sort of community is what's going to create that success.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. I really enjoy. So we both are in the same women's community, and it's a business development type of community for women only in the St. Louis area, and it's probably. I'm so thankful for it because before I was in a lot of networking that was more male dominated, and I had a guy one time shake my hand and he did the whole thing like this, and I was just like,
Oh,
ew,
I know.
ew, just shake my hand, bro.
Right. What's
I
wrong with you?
actually said that. Just shake my hand, bro. But it is different when it's all women that are actually cheering each other on and not in competition with one another.
Right. And it's not like a sorority either, which was my biggest fear. I was like, we're
Yeah.
not gonna like braid hair and hang out or share friendship bracelets, right? That was my biggest
I'm
fear.
gonna
And
buy
so
you a friendship bracelet. I'm not gonna make you one, but I'll buy you one. I'm not creative in that way.
we need a secret handshake or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, that community of like-minded individuals is key.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I think is key for business partners, and I'm curious, like having a mentor, having that person that you can go to on the bad day and just say, I have messed up. I did this. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what I'm going to do. And being completely vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a bad thing.
No, not at all. Vulnerability is not weakness either. A lot of people think that and they have that misconception. And it's key. And Brene Brown is probably who I think does the best on shame and vulnerability. I would always direct anyone that wants to learn a little bit more about that to her
Yeah.
studies. She's phenomenal and has taught me a lot. And I'll save you a ton of money in therapy too. If you just buy her book, it's way cheaper.
But there's nothing wrong with therapy.
Nothing
There's
wrong. Oh
nothing wrong with
no,
it. No
gosh,
shame
no, no,
there.
no, no shame there either. No, no. I think therapy shaped a lot of who I am now. Um, in the ability to change between that and Jesus. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
we need both. They work together.
Yes, they do. There's something to being able to go to. So I've had a mentor for golly, probably, I just said golly. Oh, sorry. I never use that word. I don't know why it came out of my mouth.
That's very
Golly.
southern. That's very southern of you.
Well, we did just spend a week down in southern Missouri.
Oh, well, now we know where it
Maybe
came
that's where
from.
that came from. I don't know. First visit to Bucky's, that was insane and complete mayhem. Like, whoa.
I
But
love it.
anyway,
I have
that's
never
that's a
been.
different conversation.
Different day.
Um, but like, my gosh, I can't imagine not having my mentor in my life. I probably had her in my life for about 15 years. And just having a business savvy woman that just did a lot of things at a very high level. I actually have three women that I consider mentors, and they all just were killing it in their industry, and having them available for me to process, like, hey, I'm thinking about this, I need feedback on this, or hey, I built this out, what do you think about this? And I mean, and they were brutally honest with me, like, you don't need to do
Hmm.
that right now, you're spending money where you don't need to, or like that sort of thing. And I'm so thankful.
Yeah. Yeah, mentorship. I was just talking about that this morning. When we're reaching our hand forward to get our cup filled, we need to remember to reach our hand backward to bring others with us. And that's actually an area that I'm looking to grow in because all of my mentors have been males,
Mm,
just being in the industry and the individuals that I worked for to help build the business.
yeah.
It was all male driven. And so it was hard for me to really break that off and join an all women's group because
Mm,
I had never experienced the power that can truly unlock. And I was always the one that was walking around saying, I'm a guy's girl. I'm a guy's girl. I just, I don't do girl things and drama. And I just had this perception of what it was going to be like. In reality, I was just surrounding myself with the wrong people. It
hmm.
wasn't the gender, let's say, right? It wasn't all females, it was just the wrong females. And
Yeah.
so when I really stepped back and started to think about what is this going to look like long term and is this really for me, it was just making sure I was surrounding myself with the right people.
That's probably one of the greatest joys that I have is mentoring some younger women. I'm still connected to about five of them over the years. I've probably mentored about 15 women, young women, and seeing them in the space that they are today, chasing the dreams that they've talked about, 10 years ago, and seeing where they're at now. And it's both family and business type stuff, or where they work or whatever. And it's probably one of the greatest joys outside of my kids and my husband that I've ever had, because I that's one of the things I love. As a matter of fact, we were talking in our chapter meeting this past week. I really want to take in some younger people that are doing like fractional C-suite type of work and just bring them under my wing and help mentor them into the connecting piece. I think that's really missed a lot in entrepreneurship when people are starting. No one brings those people underneath their wing to help them learn how to really connect with someone. I'm not saying this bragging wise, but when I meet with the first client and I'm in my first session with them, like within probably 15 minutes, I can get them to tell me their life story and let them be completely vulnerable, because I make them feel needed, known, and cared for.
Hmm. Yeah. It's a gift. It's a gift, and I agree with you. It's so important, and we don't do it enough because we can look at someone from the outside and think, oh, they have it all together, or their presence on social media, or whatever it may be. But I don't know, maybe this is a spoiler alert, but nobody has it all together.
Right? None of
Not
us are
even close.
perfect.
No. No. So it is important. I've had such a great pleasure. One of the agents, Veronica, that works with me, we've worked together for 6 years. So we followed each other to different adventures, I'll say. And I agree. Like the joy that I have, she's a single mom. She busts her butt. Can I say butt on a podcast? I don't
Yeah,
know.
you can.
Okay. She busts her butt. I wanted to say something else, but we'll keep it PG-13. um, she busts her butt on in everything that she does as a single mom for her daughter, and to watch her grow and change. And I know, like, just like a mom, I'm sure there's things advice I've given her that is not good. But also just all the things that the life we've gotten to do, the journey we've gotten to take together, and
Hmm.
to watch her grow, it really has been the biggest joy of owning a business
Yeah.
and starting out in that more of like coaching and developing role versus entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it is different. Like being an entrepreneur, you can teach someone that, but at the same time, you have to learn how to mentor someone, because, like you said earlier, someone might give you a set of system, processes and systems, but you're going to adapt it to you, because it has to be adapted to you. It's important that you have them, but like what you use is not going to be exactly the same way I use, but it might be similar.
Right. Yeah. And just our personalities and who we are as individuals, it
Hmm.
all matters. And so it's not something that we have to mimic, like, okay, this person does this, so I'm going to do it exactly like this because I'm going to get that result.
Yep.
And it just doesn't happen that way.
So I'm a practitioner with Everything Disc, which is a personality assessment type thing. Are you familiar with DISC?
Yes and no. It's been a very long time. I feel like that's the
Okay.
first one I ever learned about. And then I haven't gone back. I haven't revisited it.
Well, just quick brief. So D is a dominant, they're drivers. I is they're more people, they're influencer people. They love all things people. And then you have your S's, they're more like steadiness. And so they're like that person that is just like there's no ups and downs, they're just right here all the time, which is a good thing. And then there's the C personality, who is very conscientious, they're very analytical, numbers driven. And so like I'm an ID and my husband's a C, and we don't speak the same language at all.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting. So I do like a 1 hour training for businesses, and I can teach you how to recognize those things in people within 5 minutes, just walking in, watching body language. I did this with a company in Earth City last year, and it was so funny. So there was about 25 leaders in the room, and they come in and they sit down, and I don't say anything. And I gave them this little quick test to take to figure out where they're at in the quads, and so I'm just sitting here, and they get done, and I'm watching people interact and all this stuff. And so before we start, I said, okay, great. Don't tell me what you are, but I'm going to go around. I'm going to tell you what I think each of you are. And I went around and I got 100%. everybody was right. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And this guy goes, how did you know that I was a D? And I said, because you were tapping your foot, you seemed impatient, and drivers are normally like that. They don't want to sit here and wait for everybody else to get done. They're ready to move forward. Anyway, it's very fascinating because it's communication, it's style, it's, all these different things that make us up as individuals. And then, but we're all needed and all of us are important.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's important to, I've talked a lot about, well, we've talked a lot about like-minded people, but it's also just as important to be in rooms where people challenge your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and challenge decisions that you make, because you only know what you know, right? And I always say, once you know better, you can do better.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to do that unless you also have people around you that challenge you in those
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah. And that's for some, that's really hard, depending on their personality type. For others, it's easier. But yeah, it's women sometimes are afraid that they don't know what they don't know, and that they say that out loud,
Hmm.
and that comes back to that vulnerability thing.
Hmm.
So, okay,
Yeah.
last kind of a last question for you. Um, what do you feel like has been the biggest mistake you've made in building your business?
Ooh,
Let's be vulnerable.
I know, right? Here we go. Internally reacting too quickly, not staying curious enough. Um, there's a lot of ebbs and flows that go with a business, and sometimes when you're constantly trying to drive results, you can make some poor decisions in the way you react to a
Mm,
situation. So I think for me, I really learned, and and this is going to be, I'm never going to arrive. I'm not a patient person. I'm just not. But maybe I'm a D.
maybe.
But I'm gonna have to continue to work the muscle of staying curious and asking questions and understanding fully before I make a decision. And there's just some seasons that it's okay to pause before you respond versus just responding in whatever moment you're in. And when you're constantly going and going, it's hard to remember that because you just are like, want to get it off next. Okay, now what? Okay, get that done too.
Yeah.
But it's okay to pause. And I think that's the biggest mistake that I made in my first year was not pausing enough and staying curious enough.
So what have you done differently when you became aware of that?
A lot of self-reflection. Building the business for me is easy. It's how it's changed who I am
Mm,
that's been the hardest over the year. Self-awareness is a gift and the worst thing you can possibly have sometimes. So once I had to have a little pity party, like, Andrea, no, what are you doing? Like I had to have a little pity party once I realized that this was happening. And then it was really just owning it and apologizing for it and saying, I'm really sorry. I reacted before I had the opportunity to ask
mhm.
the right questions. Please forgive me, and then moving on. So owning it is a big piece of moving forward when we're learning and growing. And that's what I do. I stop, I own it, I'm public with my apology over it, and I move on. And I don't give it another thought.
Kudos to you because there are a lot of business owners that struggle with humility.
Yeah. You'll get a lot of turnover if you don't stay humble because
Yes.
people don't want to work with people who have a chip on their shoulder. They just don't. And understanding how to communicate, like you were saying, is super important. But
Mhm.
owning, if you want someone to own what they're doing inside of your business, you have to own your place too.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that's
just
so true.
what I believe.
I Humility is one of my core values, obviously. I'm very I'm like I had to tell a client yesterday, I apologize. I totally forgot that we were meeting on this time. I didn't put it on my calendar and I totally dropped the ball and I apologize.
Yeah, of
And that is going to happen. You're going to do
course.
those things as a
Hmm.
business owner, whether you're just starting or even if you've been in it 5, 10 years, you're still going to do that stuff.
Yeah, I had a mentor tell me two of the biggest pieces of advice that I've received over my lifetime is no is a complete sentence, and that um, you have to inspect what you expect.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is personally and professionally.
Hmm. It's really interesting that as you and you know this because as you're building a business, it morphs throughout that time. Like I think I'm close to 4 years at this point, I think. June, I think it'll be 4 years. And what my business, I just was looking at some files earlier today and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was me in my first year. What in the world was I doing? Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing, right? But it's fascinating to look back at where you were when you first started and where you are now. You're just like, whoa. And I'm
Yeah,
not
I
talking
can't
about
wait.
an income and all that stuff, but just even in like what you built at year one versus what you built at year four, or whatever
Yeah.
that is.
Well, your personal growth, and I'm sure you would agree, like I said, I mean, that's been the hardest piece of owning the business is me. Like
Hmm.
the changes that I needed to make from operator to owner. I
Yeah.
mean, it's nobody talks about that really.
Yeah. One of the things that I was just thinking about the other day is that I used to have this really large social circle, like huge. And when I started my own business and left that previous career, it dwindled down significantly, like 80% gone, which was okay. It was actually what was best for me because I
Hmm.
would not have been able to focus on the business like I should have. And there were times where I was like, I don't have any friends. You know what I mean? There were just times where I
Yeah.
had that. But one of the things that came out of it is, first of all, I was able to build my business and really focus on that. The other thing is my relationship with my husband got even like more deep and closer. And it was just really fascinating to just kind of look back and see all of that.
Yeah, I love that. And it's what you needed in that season, it sounds like,
Hmm.
which I love when that happens when things just kind of naturally occur throughout, and you look back and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense now. You don't always get it in the moment, right? But it's fun to kind of reflect back.
I think it's invaluable to reflect back because a lot of times we're in the grind and so we don't look back to see where we were to see where we are and we're kind of critical of ourselves in where we are now. But if you look back to the beginning of March of last year versus where you're at now, like it's night and day.
Yeah, it really is, and it's such a awesome journey. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's really hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Hmm.
And people don't talk about that. They make it sound so easy or like, oh, it's just a breeze. And everybody should do it. Well, there's a reason why 1% of the population own a business. It's really hard.
Hmm.
But the reward is so much greater than the hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
just to
Well,
watch other people grow.
do you have any parting wisdom for our audience?
Yes, bet on yourself and
Mm.
don't wait. Don't wait. Just do it when you're not ready. Do it when you don't feel like you have all your legs on the ground. Go for it and surround yourself with people who are going to believe and encourage you that you are enough.
I love that. And enough doesn't just mean in your business, but personally as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being on. Will you share with us how they can get in touch with you, whether it's your business, whether you personally, all those things, all your socials, all the things?
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Andrea_Early for Instagram, and Facebook, just Andrea Early. I'm out there and impose a little bit of fun, a little bit of wisdom. You'll see my pups, and I'm always willing to have a conversation. So if you need anything at all, I'm here for you.
Well, thank you so much again. And until next time, guys. Before you go, here's what I want you to remember. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about having clarity and courage to take the right next step. You're not the only one navigating hard decisions, pressure, and growth. And you don't have to figure it all out alone. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I'll see you next time.